Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Community and Protective Service Committee meeting. I am your chair, Jason Trombetta. Comments can be made to members of the public for the matter that on the agenda by advising the chair. Also, the public may submit written comments to the matters to J. Paylove at West Lincoln before 4:30 at the end of the day. This meeting is live streamed as well as recorded and available on Township's website. We have a land acknowledgement statement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of the Niagara region, is situated on treaty land. This land is rich in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Wendoronk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara region today. The Township of West Lincoln, as a part of the regional municipality of Niagara community, Niagara stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardships in the land in which they live. We need to compress that with the rest of them because it's got the heading underneath it, the line here, so that's what mine is. Members of the committee, is there any change in orders of the agenda? Nothing. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest? Seeing none. No appointments. Kevin, anybody in cyberspace?
Not seeing any, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we'll head on to communications. Item 7.1, Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. The recommendation read that the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee minutes dated May 5th, 2026 be received. I need a mover for that. Councillor Chichuk, seconded by Councillor Riley. Any comments or questions, members of the committee? Seeing none, call the vote. Yeah. That's great, thank you. And that carries. Sorry, I forgot to note two councillors are away this evening. I'll send regrets, Councillor Rayner and Councillor Broderick. Moving on to 8 staff reports. Item CPS 1026, Director of Community and Protective Services, Cynthia Summers. Recommendation report CS 04-2026, Municipal Alcohol Policy Update. The recommendation that report CS 04-2026 titled Municipal Alcohol Policy dated June 15th, 2026 be received, and that the proposed amendments to the Municipal Alcohol Policy POL-REC 01-2020 as outlined in this report be approved. Members of the committee, I need a mover. I got Madam Mayor and Councillor Chichuk. Any comments or questions on the alcohol policy? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. And that carries, members of the committee. Okay. Item CPS 1126, Director of Community Service and Protective Services, the Director of Community and Protective Services, Cynthia Summers, Information Report CS 03-2026, the 2025 Annual West Lincoln Community Services Annual Report. The Information Report CS 03-2026 titled the 2025 Annual West Lincoln Community Services Annual Report dated June 15, 2026 be received. But I'm going to turn, before we get a mover and seconder to this, to our director.
Thank you very much, Chair and Council. I would like to take a minute to talk about this report, but more importantly this year. First of all, you'll see behind me the entire management team of the Recreation and Facilities Group. You'll see next to me DJ Brooks, who's the new manager of Community Services. 2025 marked a period of significant growth and positive transformation to the community services portfolio. It started with this council supporting the development of my role, Director of Community and Protective Services. It then evolved into a further role, which is DJ Brooks' role, the Manager of Community Services, which made a significant difference to the way the Recreation and Facilities portfolio was governed. It brought together both the programming and the facilities management under one portfolio and allowed for better aligned services and customer service. Just very briefly, I want the council and the community to know that services have dramatically expanded with participation levels up. For example, in programs, revenue increased over 2024 to 2025 by 22 to 66%, depending on which area you're looking at. And should anyone wish to refer to the report, that's on page 14. Most facilities rental revenue was up. The arena was up by 7.8% over 2024, and the gymnasium's revenue was up by 22%. We only expect these numbers to increase going forward. There were a lot of new initiatives. As you'll recall, in regards to the summer camp, we introduced early registration for West Lincoln families, which resulted in almost every child being from West Lincoln and getting a spot. We enhanced customer service training and opened up training till 9 p.m. We introduced Live Barn. With the council's support, Live Barn was on board for the fall season. We introduced a low sensory skate for those in our community who require peace and quiet while using our rink. We, through you, planted 800 trees in collaboration with the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. And on top of all that, the team delivered 23 community events throughout the year, ending, of course, beginning with the Mayor's Levee and ending with the Santa Claus Parade. I want to thank Council for your continuous support of myself and my team. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Summers. Yeah, it's a fulsome year that we had and a lot of events that went on and actually, brought the community together, which is very important. Members of committee, first I need a mover and a seconder, and I'll turn it to comments. Councillor Riley, Councillor Maychuk, any comments on the report, members of committee? Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank staff for that report. I think the difference between reports that we've had previously is we've had a really good full look at a year. And the other thing that was missing in the past is the data that helps us know next year what we're looking at compared to this year. And I think we're on the right track there. So if we're really looking at improvement, our gut feeling always tells us that things are getting better, and we can see that by the people who are there. But when it comes to budget time and we're trying to make decisions, having data that backs up what we think is really critically important moving forward. So I thank you for that wonderful baseline that you've provided that will put us in a really good position moving forward. So to all of you who are part of that, thanks very much.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Councillor Maychuk.
Yes, through the chair. First of all, I thought it was an excellent report. When I went door to door, people were very happy and proud that we had built a community center, but felt that there was a lack of programming at that time. And I just want to, as I have in the past, commend you, but now your staff team. And having a background in recreation, I realize it's the people behind that make things happen. So I just want to commend them. I guess the only question I do have is, and then I have another comment. What would you have considered, since you've started, as a highlight, something that you think has been so most important to this community that has brought it together, that you're most proud of?
Through the chair, Councillor Maychuk, that's a difficult question because I think there's been so many good things happening within this division. I think the thing that I'm the most proud of, and I think my team is as well, I hope I can speak for you, is the participation of the community. That when new ideas were brought forward and new events provided, the community showed up. And I think it stems from a new philosophy which is across the division as well, which is, when possible, always say yes. So by saying yes, we've been flexible and nimble in responding to the community. And I expect that to continue. We have ideas for a survey for community engagement and other things for next year's report. But I think I'm most proud that this community trusted these newbies and showed up to the events.
Great.
And just one last comment, and if you want to respond. Impressed with program and the advancement of program, enhancement of program, But glad to see in the most recent job with Jody that you've added grant applications as a key area. I think it is important to have revenue to offset costs, but I think it's also just as important, or maybe more important, to try to look at possible grants that we can bring into the community to offset costs or help create programs that otherwise we might not be able to afford to do. So I just want to ask that question around her position and expectation in terms of how much time will she spend on looking at grants and events, and how will that be shared within her portfolio?
Through the chair, Councillor Maychuk, I won't put Jody on the spot and have her respond, so I'll respond to that question. She's doing an extraordinary job and a new job for West Lincoln, and again, her position was supported by council. She's balancing special events and an ongoing interest in grants and funding initiatives. She's already participated in some off-site training opportunities. We're going to be hosting the provincial representative for grants in July to hold an event here in West Lincoln, so bringing a lot of connections. How she's going to balance it, we've talked in the past about, there's periods of time in the fall that are going to be very busy with grant writing. Right now she's developing a very comprehensive list, part of which she brought with us with her experience on grants that are out there, grants that she's applied for in the past. So I think she's got her running shoes on. I think she manages it by running all the time. But I think she enjoys it.
I love it.
Yeah. So there you go. She loves it. So I think you're going to find, my goal is, I really believe in reporting out. So at the end of this year, council will get not just a list of every grant we've applied for, but whatever grants we were successful with, the monetary amounts. And my real hope is that at the end of the year, we're going to see a real boost in that ability, because we've never had the opportunity to have one person who's got that expertise to focus on it. I think West Lincoln's very, very lucky.
Great.
Appreciate you and DJ and your team. Thanks for your efforts. Look forward to the future.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Chichuk?
Mr. Chair, there's really nothing much more to say, because it's been said either by the director in telling us how much advancements have been made, or by comments that she's made subsequent to that. But I must point out that the thing I'm hearing is that your favorite thing is that people showed up. The people who are coming said, you listened. And your team is saying yes more than they could in years gone by, whether that is because they've turned a page, or whether or not with the help of council and the funding you've been given, that help got them there. Your staff have said yes so many times that people, I haven't heard any concerns. And your best moment you described, but my best moment is sitting outside when I'm waiting for young people to come out any night and looking at the lights on everywhere and seeing the activities in every one of those places, and watching kids come out with their whether it's their hockey bags or gym bags, or they've been kicking a ball, but they're active, they're happy, and they're getting in the cars with their families, and they look tired. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Yeah. Okay. Seeing no other questions, Mr. Clerk. And that carries. Moving on to CPS 1226, Fire Chief Tiff Hofsink. Not so late tonight. Information report, WLFD 08-2026, monthly update, May 2026. Recommendation that the information report in WLFD 08-2026, titled Monthly Update, May 2026, dated June 15, 2026, be received. Members of committee, need a mover? Madam Mayor, Councillor Riley, any comments or questions on the report? Do you want to say anything, Chief? Are you good, or maybe want to mention something?
Just a quick highlight. The mayor had mentioned to me that she had been pleased that we had received our compliance from Emergency Management Ontario, so I did include that in the report. So our emergency management coordinator, Kathy McGrath, that was approved by council last year, I believe it was. She was instrumental in putting that together for us, so that was a huge help for us to gain compliance with Emergency Management Ontario last year. Looking forward to her support again this year. So some of council will be involved in the emergency management exercise coming up this fall or later this summer. I'm not exactly sure what time it is. So that was great, and our teams did a huge amount of training in the month of May. So I just wanted to recognize the efforts that they put in the extra time after hours on the weekends. We had a special training unit come in from the fire marshal's office, and basically it allowed us to do some live fire simulations. It was really intensive training, took a lot of effort, and I'm really proud of our crews for pushing through and taking that extra time, really developing their skills and making sure our communities are better protected.
Excellent. Thanks, Chief. Members of the committee, anything else? Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just will respond to that. I did receive a letter commending our fire department just before our meeting last month. And so I asked the chief if he was going to speak about that, and he said no. So I told him that if he put it in his May report so that it was recorded that they had been successful in that area, and that therefore it was public knowledge as well as just a letter that came to me, that I would let him off the hook on reporting early. So I just want to thank him for including that.
Anybody else? And I also did hear, Madam, Councillor Chichak, go ahead.
All I wanted to do was ask a question about the successes in the, there was a lot of recruit class preparation, but final exams happening at the beginning of June, and I wondered how they went.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Chichak, we haven't got the results yet. They were just written on the 6th, so it does take a little time for the OFM to, I don't know if they're using Scantron or something still, but it does take some time. So they've been getting better. We used to be waiting 6 months for test results, but they've improved. So I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks we'll know. But I have good confidence. The recruits were very diligent, and we have excellent trainers. So I'm sure that they'll
That's good,
that
because
they'll
we keep
be
hearing about the
successful.
retirements.
Yeah. Well, we're happy that we have this group finishing up. They're about 18 months into the process, so they're on the trucks. But this will be the last of their final exams to finish up. So
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's great, and I just want to have a moment to know how proud we are. Should we be a little bit proud, or should we be a lot proud?
a lot proud.
Okay.
It's a lot of work.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Councillor Chichak. I did hear your 6:10 roundtable interview, so that was good. I was 6:30 in the morning on my way to work, so that was really good. So about the recruitment and everything else. So thanks for that, Chief. Members of committee, anything else? Call the question, Mr. Clerk. And that carries. Moving on to other business, I'll start from my right. Councillor Chichak, any other business in a form of nature you want to discuss?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Riley?
I'm good right now.
Mr. CAO? No? Mr. Clerk? Madam Mayor?
Just a quick thing. Since the MIAC report came forward, I would just say that I'd like to thank those who came out, whether members of the public or staff, to support the kids with their lemonade stand. We actually didn't count right down to the last little bits of change, but we had already about $240 online, and we had about the same in donations on Saturday. So all in all, we have at least supported a little bit more than one child going to camp for one full week. So kudos to the kids, and thanks to the members of the public and those in this room who supported them. Thank you.
Through the chair, it was a privilege to go with Councillor Riley on Saturday, and it was great to see so many people out on the street and visiting all the different garage sales. I'd like to thank Wayne for his support of the community, but it was a great day and a real community day, and we had the privilege of meeting a lot of people, and appreciate that, and it was a lot of fun.
Did you get any deals?
My wife said, don't bring home anything more that we don't need. Okay. So I did. I think I ended up drinking 6 glasses of lemonade, a hot dog, a hamburger, and I was pretty full. And I should be cutting back on that too.
No problem. Totally get it. It's that time of year, the summertime. You got to take advantage of the barbecue, and it is, right? So, All right, members of committee, there's nothing else, then I'll move on. There's no new business, and we don't have confidential matters. So thank you, everybody, and I'll adjourn this meeting at 6:50. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm Greg Maychek, Councillor Ward 3. This is the fourth meeting of the Corporate Services Committee. It's June 15th, and I'll start with a few quick announcements. Comments can be made from members of the public for a matter that is on the agenda by advising the chair during the request to address an item on the agenda section of the agenda. The public may submit written comments for matters that are on the agenda to jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting for consideration by the committee. Comments received after 4:30 on the day of the committee meeting will be considered at the following council meeting. Comments submitted are included in the record. This meeting will be live streamed as well as recorded and available on the Township's website. The land acknowledgement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of the Niagara region, is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in rich history of the First Nations, such as the Adirondack, the Haudenosaunee, and the Nishnawbe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as part of the regional municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wide stewardship of the lands on which we live. Change in order to the items on the agenda. No changes. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest. Seeing none. There are no appointments or presentations. Requests to address items on the agenda. 1 hour in total shall be allocated for this section of the agenda. At each individual person shall only be provided with 5 minutes to address the issue. A response may not be provided and the matter may be referred to staff. Kevin, is there anybody online?
Not seeing you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public present who wish to address any items on the Corporate Services Committee agenda? Thanks, John, and happy birthday. Any communications? Seeing none. Staff reports. CEO, Trooper McBride, recommendation report, CAO-01, 2026, Development Charge Reduction Program. That the recommendation report, CAO-01, 2026, titled Development Charge Reduction Program, DCRP, dated June 15th, be received, and that the administration be directed to prepare and submit an application to the Province of Ontario's Development Charge Reduction Program by application deadline of 10 a.m. on June 19th, 2026, including the township projects identified in this report, and that the township's application be contingent upon Niagara region, including requested Smithville-related regional infrastructure projects in the region's DCRP application, and the application report back to council on the outcome of the application and the terms of any proposed transfer payment agreement prior to execution. Before I look for somebody to make a motion and a seconder, you just want to make a quick introduction?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. As we begin, I just wanted to take the time to introduce Mr. John Henry. He's joining us as our new Chief Financial Officer and Director of Corporate Services. We're very happy after a few months here, finally have the seat filled, and Mr. Henry is a welcome addition to the organization. So in a moment, when I go through the report, Mr. Henry can backstop any of the financial impact discussion that might be helpful for council, and I'll turn it back over to you.
John, welcome, and we wish you the best in the position and look forward to working with you. So do I have somebody to make a motion and a seconder of the recommendation? Councillor Riley, Mayor Ganan. Is there any questions to the report? Okay, go ahead.
I'm still on.
CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. This evening we're bringing in a report, and typically there's not a report brought before we apply for a grant. Typically the reports are brought at the back end if we're successful. However, this is an unusual opportunity, perhaps a once-in-a-generation sized opportunity that brings the provincial government and the federal government together on the Development Charge Reduction Program, which is an $8.8 billion partnership between the two senior levels of government and municipal government. What this program is ultimately looking for to be successful is a commitment from the municipality to reduce development charges by 30 to 50% over the next 3 years. So that's a significant commitment on behalf of the municipality, needless to say, the report goes on to discuss the pros and cons and different ways of looking at this opportunity. But I think to sum it up for council, what we need to look at this evening is there's a significant amount of work involved in pursuing this grant. So we do want to know whether or not council is interested with the scope of the program and whether or not this makes sense for West Lincoln. So again, to be eligible, we would need to make a commitment of 30 to 50% reduction over development charges. It effectively means we have 90 cent dollars coming from the province. The municipal contribution would be at least 10%. The assessment criteria that the senior orders or the province has put out is that we have to be committed to that rate reduction, the number of houses benefiting, and then the municipality's contribution. So importantly, we go back to that 30 to 50% contribution. It's been made clear that those municipalities that are more aggressive in that reduction, the higher the likelihood of success. Now, right now, administration is recommending a 30% reduction to help mitigate the amount of risk the municipality is exposed to through this process. However, we do know that there are a number of municipalities contemplating a 50% reduction, and so council may want to consider this and provide alternative direction to administration on the amount of the reduction that council is comfortable with this evening before we proceed to the application deadline on Friday. There is an extraordinarily short turnaround on this. The guidelines of the program were not available until June 10th, and municipalities have until June 19th to put together a rather extraordinary grant application that has the potential to transform and catalyze development, not just in West Lincoln, but across Ontario over the next 10 years. The report contains a list of local projects that administration is recommending to be strong beneficiaries of this. It's important to understand the link, though, between these local projects and the regional projects. And as council is aware, the drag on the infrastructure delivery in West Lincoln is not the local projects, it is the regional projects, those larger regional infrastructure projects such as the Smithville pumping station is really what we need to get development going here. And listed in the report are the regional projects that we would like to see moving forward to enable our grant to go forward. So the report says that West Lincoln, it only makes sense to submit an application if the region does. I did have a phone call with the region's CAO on Friday afternoon and was told to me that the region is committed to supporting West Lincoln's projects in their application, and they are going in at a 50% reduction in their DCs across the region. So that positions us well, and the opportunity is before council on whether or not to proceed to submit. Now, this report does not quantify all of the risks yet to council, and we won't know that until until potentially whether or not we're successful on the other end. The province has signaled a real willingness to get this grant turned around and announced before the lame duck period. So this would allow municipal councils across Ontario to make these decisions before any potential of lame duck situation arrives at the end of August. So it's clear that by AMO time, the province wants to be able to make these decisions. So the report weighs the pros and cons, and what we're suggesting right now is it seems to make some sense to not miss this application window and put a submission together for the province that we see as competitive over the summer, and after the results are released, if we are successful, then we would be back to council with a more comprehensive risk assessment and financing model of how we would propose to carry these costs over the short term until we are paid back through this program in the future. I'll perhaps leave it there if there are any questions. I think the report largely speaks for itself, but this is an opportunity that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to miss at the moment. And there is time to do some further work and analysis and return to council with a more comprehensive report in August should we be successful. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks for the background and the fact that this was time sensitive. I'm sure there's some questions from members of council. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to the CEO. I guess I applaud the effort to kind of meet the province and the federal government's approach halfway here. I guess my concern out of the gate is, and I think it's in here somewhere, but if you could just steer me towards it. We go forward with this and we're successful, but we realize once the cat's out of the bag, it really isn't for us. What options do we have? Are we creating not a financial risk, sorry, are we creating a reputational risk with the province in the future when we apply for grants if we try to back out of it? Like, I'm just kind of curious, those other unseen liabilities, if you'd be able to speak to that at all.
CAO.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Good points. Our understanding is that the ultimately is council's decision if we are successful, if the conditions of the grant come back, because the funding there's a lot of unknowns here, and no municipality is going to have perfect information until they're deemed to be successful, and it comes back. So it's not unreasonable to look at something in the conditions if they're not in the municipality's interest to say no. In administration's opinion, there's a broader risk of being seen to be not on board with where the province wants to go in the delivery of housing. The province has stated this as a housing emergency, and this funding is being made in accordance with that. So we think that the interests of the municipality are best served by showing the province that yes, we're interested in participating in their housing delivery program, but we need to know at the other side, does this make sense? And council has that window. And there seems to be understanding at the provincial level and how the grant's been written, that may end up being the case.
Okay, thank you. That's what I have for now.
Okay, is there any other questions at this time? Mayor Ganan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just through you again to the CAO. So the percent, just again, we're looking at 30%, is that what you were saying? So I guess as I listen to you speak further, Mr. CAO, I wonder about if the region is saying 50% and we are saying 30%, and some of our projects are joint projects and we're hoping to be together, is that, in your opinion, going to be problematic for West Lincoln? Or do you think that it doesn't matter if our percentages are different?
Through the chair, my understanding is it does not necessarily matter in the syncing of the applications if the percentages are different, because they are different DC bylaws, so they're applied and collected differently. It's worth noting, though, that the region going in at 50 creates a more competitive, potentially, application than the 30% that us going in at would be. The province does seem to be stressing the importance of an aggressive reduction, and so that's up to council's fortitude or willingness to buy into this program and whether or not we want to go to the 50. In the financial impact section, there's some discussion on the 30 versus the 50, but again, we won't know the full impacts of this until the other side.
So I appreciate the answer very much. I guess I don't want West Lincoln to be caught on the wrong end of this if we appear not to be sort of taking it seriously. So if we've reached out, as I know you have, to the region to make sure that our projects that are really important to us are also important to them, and they see the value of including us in terms of what they are looking for. I guess I don't want us to be the problem kid at the end of the line that says, oh, but they're really not really all in, you know. So I guess the fact that we can always pull out when we find out more details is more important than where we come in. I think we need to show that we're serious about this if we are serious. If council decides, yes, we need to do this, then I think we need to make sure that our CFO is looking carefully at all of those numbers and is able to say, yes, you could manage this if. So.
Would our CFO like to comment in response to the mayor's comments?
Is this right? Can you hear me? Is this on? Yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Chair Marichek. Yeah, I'd like to just maybe take a minute just to provide some commentary. I mean, Trooper's done a fantastic job of taking the lead on this. I just started last week, and I was off for a bit of a day there just to kind of transition. But he kind of did take a lead on this, and I was amazed at actually how quickly he kind of grasped the issues and challenges and opportunities associated with it. But there is limited information associated with this grant, and it did come very, very quickly. It does make sense to align if you would like to try to improve your chances of the grant being successful, right, by increasing to 50%. I mean, you can also extend beyond the 3-year period if you want to go 4 or 5 years. But just keep in mind that the monies that we collect from development charges are there to be putting the infrastructure in the ground to unlock that development. And so one of the big unknowns, and this is the risk that we wrestle with, this is what Trooper and the management team have been wrestling with, is how does the funding get returned back to the township? And they're not really clear on that. So if they're going to say, hey, as soon as you finish your construction contracts, we'll release the funding, regardless of whether those permits are pulled or not, that's fantastic, because essentially we could be putting infrastructure in the ground. If a recession happens, it's not dependent on growth units. So when they are ready to come back online, we're ready to go. The infrastructure is supported there now. Growth can occur. But if they tie it to the number of units, and those number of units don't come online as quickly as we initially thought, and we've already let out construction contracts for, say, in the magnitude of $4, $5, $6, $10 million, and we're only seeing a reduction of, say, $3, $4 million in DCs, and the province is going to tie that to that, then we've just essentially front-end funded, from the municipality's perspective, the development infrastructure works. So that would put us at a disadvantage, and that's kind of what we're wrestling with right now. We want to make sure we really truly understand that, and we want to make sure that whatever decision we make, we put forward is in the best interest of West Lincoln, financially, and also from a growth perspective, and also from a community perspective. And so I just wanted to make sure that little piece, kind of sounded with you, and that you would just take that away when you're making your decision, because I think that is kind of the crux of the matter. If the government was saying, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of free money here, go put infrastructure in the ground, there wouldn't even be a question. We wouldn't even come to council, right? We'd already have this already signed, sealed, and delivered. But I think it's that piece that's making us a little anxious. And so I think this is why we're saying let's go forward with the application, see what happens, and if we're successful, then we can assess the full magnitude of the impact on our financial situation. We already know that the 10% requirement will create an impact. 3 of those 5 projects have already co-funding in them, so the 10% wouldn't apply. We've already addressed that, but 2 of those projects actually don't have 10% co-funding, so we would need to come up with a strategy to fund about $900,000 or so. There seems to be a strategy for that, but that would be money that we might have used for something else, where we're repurposing that. So those are the types of things that when we get the application back, if it's successful, we would come back to council and say, this is what we're seeing and we think it makes sense to proceed, or we would say it's not in our financial best interest at this time. But just wanted to share that with you, and thank you for taking a minute to listen to me.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the information. We look forward to further details in the future. And if there's no further questions, I'm sorry, Councillor Chichak.
Chair. I guess this, along with about 27 other reports, have brought all kinds of new things for us to consider. It's kind of like going into a candy store and saying, I'll have one of those, I'll have 2 of these. At this point in time, knowing not what it is we're going to develop and not how much it's going to cost. So I guess, first of all, I'm just wondering, with the House rising as it did on June 2nd, I think, are the regulations for this particular grant application out? Because the poison is in the regs, not in the actual legislation. So I'm just wondering if that is intended to be out before the August deadline, where we have to, there's no reason on earth that we shouldn't apply for a grant. And I know that this municipality has in the past, and has withdrawn after they found out a little more information, or council got cold feet or something. So I don't see any reason not to apply, but I guess, are the regs out, or are they intended to be out prior to the August, so that we know the rules more clearly? That's my first question through you, Mr. Chair.
I'll look to the CAO or the CFO to answer that. Thank you.
I don't know if anybody has actually seen the regulation document, but the guidelines to the grant are available. They're posted on the province's site. In addition to that, the award dates are by the 21st of August. So presumably the government has a mechanism from the legislature to spend that money. So right now we're relying on the grant guidelines to basically inform the report that's before council this evening, but I've not seen the regulation.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. I guess the 8.8 billion sounds like a lot of money coming from the federal government. It's for Canada-wide. So when we look at that, I'm sure that places that are going to put in higher densities or 6,500 units of population or 10,000 population are going to attract the attention of whoever's going to be the decision maker at both the province and the federal government. Working with the region, I'd like to know that the region are as committed as they are, because we fell short on an application just recently where it was the regional works that then the person front-ending the money had to come to us to try and get it when they decided they wouldn't pay it, regardless of the complaint, given that the works were regional works. So I just want to make sure that the I's and the T's are dotted. I'm not suggesting this is not an opportunity for us to look at. Sometimes you do a lot of work and it doesn't end up coming to fruition because we can't afford it or the rules didn't shake out of the tree the way we thought. So please understand, I'm listening to you, I'm hearing, stressing to go to 50%. I don't believe that the Premier has that number, the impact to a small municipality. When you're looking at the City of Toronto, who've got other reserves or other ways of making up the money, when you look at a smaller municipality, I know it isn't the same implication. So for that, I say I'm looking for more information. I'd like to know the number of houses that would be impacted by this grant. What would the number of homes, what would the population, I'm not sure if it would be now, versus the dollars of loss that we would have to fund. 900,000, as Mr. Henry has just mentioned, is $1 million. That's close to 10% for us. But if it is a number that says the densities are sufficient to battle against people who have got increased densities and are going to bring in lots more population, and quite frankly, I want to know what it's going to do for the developers. Because if they're going to have stranded DCs, we're going to have another problem. Because we know a stranded DC is when the developer does a front-ending agreement and there's not enough houses for him to get his money back. So we need to understand that kind of logic as well. So I don't want to hurt or see our development community hurt, and this is being done so fast that I'm willing to listen to a lot more stuff before we do this. So, and given the fact that we're supposed to be working on our next official plan, where's that guy, Garrett, already, and we've led a tender, or we're looking to let a tender on putting that together. Where's it going to go, and how's it all going to fit together? So I hope between now and when we have to really commit to what kind of money, we've got a lot more answers, because right now we're at 40,000 feet, and we need to get down something closer to 20 before we have to commit. So that's what I'm looking for.
There was some questions in that and also some comments, but can you reply at this time to some of her more specific questions?
Councillor G. Chalks.
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chair. Actually, to Mr. Borma, do you happen to have the housing estimates? I was just scanning the report. I thought they were in there. Wondering if you could, do you have them at your fingertips there faster than I can find them?
Yeah, I think they're on page 5 of the report. So we have estimated 1,200 to 2,000 units. I think this is for the township infrastructure. I think there's some additional benefit with the regional projects as well. And we also have, so that 1,200 to 2,000 is based on our current draft plan approved units plus 3 subdivision applications we have in that we're processing. And then we have around a 13% intensification rate, so we've included approximately 100 to 400 units for further intensification. So those are like units like Legion Villa and other kind of units in Smithville.
Go ahead, our CEO.
Through you, Chair. What we're looking at with these numbers is an optimistic scenario for Smithville growth that maximizes the efficiency of the assessment base. So it's never necessarily up to us what the developers deliver ultimately in their housing products minus what the zoning regulation is going to tell them they can do. But this is what we're saying is a best case scenario, and in terms of positioning for a successful grant application, these are the numbers that we would feel confident in putting behind us.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to a vote if there's no further questions. I'm sorry.
So just going to, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you. So again, I just want to clarify, even for members of the public here, that, the decision tonight is just to proceed with the grant process, see how it comes back. I know one of the things I certainly would like to see, and I know it's mentioned here that, that's one of the, I think, the factors you identified, is there's no guarantee that any kind of savings would actually necessarily, as it currently sits, go back to those future prospective home buyers. And so I think, when this comes back to us, should this be supported tonight, I think there's going to be a bigger conversation that's going to hopefully have a lot more information, because this is just the province again, kind of just running quick with the concept and not having all the pieces in place. So there's a lot of things that are left in the open, and so I'd hate for someone at home to think that we're just supporting this, thinking it's going to happen, and not having all the information here. So again, just, if I could just hear it from our CEO just one more time for public record, that, so again, we're voting, should this be supported tonight, just strictly for the grant thing, and we will have an opportunity to back out of this without, to the best of our understanding, without any real liability.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Councillor Riley is correct. This will come back to Council for consideration with more information and analysis prior to executing any agreement. So absolutely, that I can confirm that. And on the mayor's point, I don't believe we responded to that around the 50%. Potentially, if council's comfortable, we don't have the 30% within the recommendation, but if council is comfortable with us considering to go to 50 while we execute the rest of this application, if council is comfortable with administration making it as aggressive an application as possible without getting too far over our skis, then we will still look between the 30 to the 50, but we are looking for some direction from council on that comfort level.
Councillor Chichek, I think. Oh, sorry.
I still have the floor.
Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, and so, and just, thank you. And to that, to you, Mr. Chair, I guess my question would be regarding the 50 is, when this comes back, are we now handcuffed to the 50, or can we still revert back to the 30? What is your opinion based on the information that's currently available right now? Because it's great to make it ultra competitive, but we might realize, hey, we might want this, but we might not want it at 50. Like, is there an issue if we play really aggressive now and decide, hey, we want to trim it back a little?
Through the chair, to Councillor Riley, my understanding would be that once we submit the application and the transfer agreement comes back, that's the deal.
Okay.
You either walk away from it or you accept it. And that's why we wanted to put that pause in place between that time frame, so we come back to council and say, okay, this is where it's at, and maybe things have changed since then. Maybe we have better information, understanding how that funding is going to come into play, and that might be to a benefit to us. Like that would be great if we could get a secured $5-10 million in the bank, and then all of a sudden it's not dependent on a number of units, and we can pre-build. I think that's a great deal. It may come back that no, it's going to be a 10-year, funding agreement, and it's going to be contingent on housing units, and all of a sudden we find out in August we're into another quarter of recession, and units that we're going to expect for the next 3 years are going to be 30 a year, and so then we're front-ending the development. Infrastructure, plus also we're giving deep discounts on development charges, which would otherwise be used to pay for that infrastructure. So it puts us at a disadvantage, and that's the table, right? That's the conversation, and we won't really know more. We wish we did. We've tried. I mean, I think Trooper's reached out to everybody he knows in the province. I know I've contacted a couple of people that I know in different regions and different areas, and everyone's like, yeah, we don't have anything other than what was provided in the guidelines, really. So we're just going based off of the best information we have, which is let's put this forward to council, let's move it forward, and then we'll make a decision at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Chichek?
No, Mr. Chair, I see in the report that council, the recommendation from staff is 30%, and at this point in time, I would be comfortable in moving it forward, that we proceed to put an application forward with the staff recommendation, because if we go against that right now, and not knowing anymore, we're taking a much bigger chance. And I think at the region, who needs to put the money where the pipes are, needs to see if they can get it, because most of the infrastructure is theirs. Our 30% is for pipes that are not nearly as valuable or as necessary, and I don't think we would make as big a splash, and we may end up on the short end of the stick. So I think the staff recommendation leaves us where we should be, and that if something else comes up, including the grants that the CAO and our treasurer have put forward, we can talk later. But this is a better place for us to be with this much unknown.
Okay, thank you. No further questions? Okay, appreciate that. So we'll stay at the 30%. Okay? If there's no further questions,
As written in the report.
yes.
Okay.
That's the way I understand it. Okay, so Councillor Chichek has put forward the motion. Is there a seconder on the recommendation? I thought we already had that, yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. If you could consult with the clerk, who is our mover and seconder of the resolution before us here?
Through the chair, the resolution on the floor is currently moved by Councillor Riley and seconded by Mayor Ganan.
I thought so. I think the council was just trying to call the question.
Thanks for the clarification. Sorry about that. Okay, we
Sorry, I
can,
called the question.
okay, let's go to a vote then. Okay, that vote carried. All right, next item on the agenda, CS 22-26, Election Assistant Jackson Tinker and Manager of Legislation Services Clerk Justin Paylove, Information Report LLS 07-2026, changes to MFIPPA, Bill 97, the Plan to Protect Ontario Act 2026, and the recommendation is that information report, LLS-07-2026, titled Bill 97, MFIPPA and PIA update dated June 15th, 2026 be received. And do I have anyone to make the motion and to second it? Mayor Ganan and Councillor Trambetta. Is there any questions in regard to the report? No questions? Okay. No comments. Let's go to a vote. That too carried. Next item, CS 23-26, Manager of Finance, Deputy Treasurer Steve Emsley, Recommendation Report T-06, 2026, Fleet Management Analysis and Recommendation. And the recommendation is that the Recommendation Report T-06, 2026, titled Fleet Management Analysis and Recommendation dated June 15, 2026, be received, and that administration be directed to resume vehicle procurement as outlined in the 2026 approved budget with a focus on uniformity and consistency across the township fleet of vehicles. Do I have someone to put forward the motion and a seconder? Councillor Chichuk, Mayor Ganan. Is there any questions? Councillor Chichuk?
Thanks. It's more of a comment or just an elaboration. Certainly, the report is well written. I appreciate that, but it would have been better and easier to understand had there been an actual comparison of leasing versus purchasing, because I know the number of vehicles we do not, Mr. Chair, purchase, nor is there the type of savings that we might have in a larger municipality or a larger fleet. But it might have just been a little easier to comprehend with a little more detail in actually comparing one versus the other. Not that we don't trust you, but it's just easier to just understand. So I won't ask for that now, but in future I know one of my colleagues did indicate he would have appreciated a lot more numbers. Okay?
Steve, did you want to provide any response in regards to clarity?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Councillor Chichuk. Yes, no, I appreciate that feedback. Completely understand. The report was written as it was, sort of intentionally. The information that was provided to us through this proposal was proprietary and unique to us, so we didn't want to disclose that publicly and get into the details. So did our best to include all the relevant information that formed this recommendation, but no, I do appreciate the feedback.
Whether it's actual numbers or percentages or what the
Yes.
thing is, but it's not telling us what kind of gains or losses we would experience. So there's ways of saying it so that nobody can see the actual numbers.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions at this time? Okay, I see no further questions. We'll go to a vote. And that too carries. On to other business. Members of committee, is there any verbal updates from members of boards and committees at this time, or any updates?
One quick comment is that the Chamber of, our Chamber of Commerce has hired a new executive director, Mr. Chair, and she started with the Chamber and is filling the shoes of those left behind and certainly looking at things. And happy to this council is that all events for this year remaining are going to be held in West Lincoln.
Well, that's good news. Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Ganan?
Well, I haven't been a counselor for a while, but that was nice. Thank you. Only at the
You're
region.
Ganan.
Yeah, at the region we're counselors. It just struck me funny. I just want to remind members of the public and staff who are here, actually, and counselors, that next Tuesday, a week tomorrow, is our community recognition evening at the community center. Although I know we have a meeting just before, but I think to give people a heads up that that the public are also welcome to come. And I think the people who are being honored each of the years that we've done this moving forward. We hope that it continues. But people appreciate it when counselors are there. They appreciate it when staff are there, especially if they happen to belong to a committee that you've been associated with in some way. I know that Director Borma has been there in the past, when there have been people who have been connected to some things that he's been engaged in. So 7 o'clock at the community center upstairs. There's food as well.
Thank you, Mayor Ganan, and we encourage all the
Chocolate
public to come out.
Mr. Chair, there will be chocolate strawberries.
Okay, looking forward to it. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Dice and I were speaking just before the meeting, and we just thought it would just make sense to make a quick note that the Township has just recently implemented a new website, which launched today, and it seemed to be quite successful. There's been no IT issues. I think you're pleased as well with the performance. So we just wanted to give a quick update. So if you do get a call from residents because it looks a little bit different, or if you're finding that there is a staging of the URLs or the background of the IT structure of the website that need to be moved over. So in some cases, it's being redirected. So residents may see that. That could confuse them. I don't think it will, but it could. But if you get a call from them on that, just maybe indicate to that then that's just a transitionary measure and should probably be ratified within a week. But so far, everything looks good, and we're pretty super excited about it. So we just want to share that with you.
Good news. We encourage the public to check out the new website, and if they do have questions, please contact the Township. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
you've hit a pin. Where do they contact? Because certainly if somebody has a problem, sure as shooting, they're going to say, you told us to contact, where?
I look to staff if there's a specific person that they should direct those calls to so that they get the right person. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Chichak, they can contact the Township through the Communications Division, so Beth Audette would be the best person to communicate that with. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other business or items of an informative nature at this time? Council? No? Okay. Now then we're on to, there's no new business. Okay, confidential matters, recommendation that the next portion of this meeting be closed to the public to consider the following pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act, Jessica Dyson, Director, Legal Legislative Services, and Jacob Dempstra, Learners LLP, Human Rights Tribunal matter, legal advice and direction, and that the applicable closed session are those of a personal matter of an identified individual, including municipal and local board employees, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communication. I believe the clerk has some details. Do I have a mover and a seconder on this? Councillor Chichuk, Councillor Riley. Okay, and call the question? No question? Okay. All right. Okay, and if we go to the vote now? I vote yes, yes. Okay, so this meeting is now adjourned. And I'm sorry, go ahead. Okay, so the meeting is now closed. So we're back to the open session, and I believe the clerk has a resolution to read.
Through the chair, for the rest of council, the motion on the floor is that administration proceed as directed in closed session. I'll need a mover and seconder. Councilor Riley and Mayor Gannan. Call the question.
Call the question,
And then by
and by hand vote. I believe it carries. All in favor?
the carry.
And that concludes the meeting. Is that correct? Okay. It's my pleasure to adjourn the meeting. Have a great night. At the time of 8:19.